Carrie from Wrap Your Head Around Silks. This is the Expecting Aerialist now with the Digident Podcast Network. How's it going, guys? You're having a wonderful day. Oh, we have a bean. What would you like to say?
Well,
Come here. Go into the microphone.
I just came out of the bathroom and I just changed in my clothes.
Did you do it all by yourself without Mama's help?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
And I had it, and she was crying out of the light, and I said I would clean up for her.
Yeah, and you know what? You're growing up so much that you can do your own clothes. You're going to go get a job soon, right?
Yeah.
Go. Let me finish. All right, guys, wrap your head around silks. Lots of stuff happening. As always, roll it out. Mondays and Thursday evenings, 7 p.m. Pacific time. We also have a portal that if you can't make the time, you can take the classes in your own time. It's totally affordable, and it's such a great way to... What?
Can you please
redo your ponytail? Can I do it after I'm done with the intro?
Please, just now.
No, let me do it after I'm done with the intro. Okay, you guys, I'm just going to keep it all in. This is all real. So I also have a comprehensive silks course. I have an aerial rehab course. I have teacher training. Let me know, DM me if you are interested in learning how to teach from me. And then, of course, a mini course if you just want to check out my style with no commitment. All right, my friends. This is buckle your seatbelts. This is Sarah Holmes. She is one half of Paper Doll Militia. She comes to us from Scotland, and she is in the thick of a journey of becoming a mother. And we had a long conversation where she shared her story with me. I've broken up into 2 episodes that I dropped on the same day, so you don't have to wait, but put them into 2 episodes so it's a little more digestible. So I'm not going to explain the story. I'm going to let her tell it from her mouth. I hope you get a lot out of this. And of course, reach out to Sarah if you have anything to share with her, or if you have any questions. All right, my friends, let's get started. You are exactly where, Sarah?
I'm in Glasgow, Scotland.
And you've lived there for a while?
Yeah, I've lived here for like over a decade now. So I was in a few places in the States. I started my circus journey at Wise Fool in Santa Fe. And then I moved back to my hometown. Then I went to India to study Malakam, which is this like crazy aerial art form they do there. Then I went to back to my hometown, and then we reconvened the company with Rain in the Bay Area. We were there for a few years, and then I've been here for like over a decade now.
So you and Rain Anya are Paper Doll Militia, and but you do not live in the same city. She is in the States still.
Yeah, she's actually in LA.
She is still, okay.
Yeah. Well, right now she's on an airplane flying to Greece, and I'm joining her there tomorrow. But that's kind of how we roll is for the first couple of years, we went back and forth a lot. I went to the States a few times a year. She came over here a few times a year because we were still doing a lot of productions together. And then it got a little bit wild, just like crossing the Atlantic that many times. So we do a bunch of traveling projects. So we do retreats. We do 6 weeks of retreats a year. We do 2 in Greece, 2 in Panama, and 2 in Mexico. And so those retreats are an opportunity for us to get together and be together for projects, which is exciting. We haven't done a creative project together in a few years. We've been doing that separately. And then we also do teacher trainings, which pre-COVID, we basically divided the globe in half. And she took the Western Hemisphere and I took the Eastern Hemisphere. So I did Europe and she did North America and Australia. Yeah.
And how long have you guys been going now?
We started the company in 2006.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I remember I started Aerial in 2007 and I was hearing about you guys through the grapevine. You guys, it takes a while, right?
Oh my gosh, it just keeps going. And it's such an awesome thing to be here 20 years later or whatever. And it's I love it just as much, but it definitely changes. Like it changes all the time. The kind of work we do, the depth, the like variety. But my passion for aerial arts is exactly as much as it was when I started,
Oh, that's amazing.
which is really cool.
Yeah, because I mean, it's so different to have aerial as something that you love, but then to make it your job. You know, it's a complicated relationship, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't think I could ever have a real job. I mean, I haven't had a real job, yeah, in 20 years. So I don't even know what it would be like. But yeah, it's got a lot of variety, which is great.
Yeah, and Sarah reached out to me because you're currently pregnant.
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Where are you in your pregnancy today?
I am 28 weeks pregnant.
Woo, 28 weeks, so right in the thick of it. Give us a summary of this experience. This is your first pregnancy?
This is my sixth pregnancy.
Okay, I'm sorry. Will this be your first baby?
Yes.
Okay. Now this is quite a story, and she is wanting to talk to me, so I'm going to have you tell it, and I'm going to mute.
Okay. Okay. So good. Okay. So it's a really interesting and complicated story. And I guess just to kind of, before I launch into it, one of the things and why I reached out to you is because I love your podcast so much. Just because you just interview really interesting people, you interview experts, but you also just talk to aerialists and listen to their stories. And they're all so very different and unique. And everyone has their own journey to motherhood, which is just inspiring and also harrowing at times. There have been a couple of stories I've heard that are just quite full on. And I guess you could say mine is quite full on as well. But I'm in a really good place around it at the moment, though. I'm feeling really grounded and grateful. So although the story I'm going to tell might be fairly intense, I'm coming from the lighter side of it now, which is a really great place to be. But I guess to kind of like talk about my rainbow baby that's on their way. They're like a fucking double rainbow, man. Seriously, they're like a quadruple rainbow. Like they're like, whoa! So yeah, I guess if I could like talk about the theme of my losses, it would be riding the journey of the unknown. So yeah, what I have is sort of like undiagnosed infertility is what Western medicine would call it. And so I kind of want to talk about sort of like what happened, like point by point, and talk about it from kind of three different standpoints, which is the Western medical view, the Eastern medical view, and a spiritual viewpoint, because they all intersect in this story. So I'll just go ahead and tell about my first loss. So my partner and I, he's a composer and he works with Paper Doll Militia a lot. He's composed now 4 full-length soundtracks for our productions. And it kind of hit me like a ton of bricks. I was 38 and I'd always been like, oh yeah, I'll have a kid, but not yet. Oh yeah, I'll have a kid, but not yet. And then suddenly it was like, no, I want a kid right now. It was really like the urge came over me and it was really like a now thing. And so I talked to him about it. He was a little nervous. He already has a son from a previous relationship that we are raising half the time. And he was like, I don't know, am I ready to be a dad again? But he was on board and we went for it. And it was pretty quick and easy. I got my IUD out. We were pregnant 3 months later. Everything was great. I was very optimistic and very naive. Like looking back at that first pregnancy, that's like what I think about is just how naive I was, how like yay, this is perfect. And I was just so happy. And the way it works in the UK is you have your first appointment when you're 10 weeks pregnant. And at that appointment, it's like an hour long. Actually, mine was almost 2 hours. And they ask you like every single question. It's like full history. And they want to know everything about your living situation as well, like who your partner is, how many people live in your home, do you rent, do you buy, do you own your home? They like go through every single detail. And I was kind of like, wow, some of these things have nothing to do with my pregnancy. But I think it's almost like a first sort of screening for social services in the case that that might be something that our particular case would need. So it's like this really in-depth meeting, but you don't have your first scan until 14 weeks. So I went to this long meeting. I was super excited. We were, 10 weeks pregnant. My appointment was at 11 weeks, actually. It was a little bit late.
So when you say scan, you're talking about an ultrasound, or you're talking...
Yeah, ultrasound. So you get your first ultrasound at 14 weeks, but you have everything. So you don't have anything before then in the UK.
Like checking the heartbeat, nothing like that?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. It's really bizarre. And so, but again, I was naive. So I was just like doing what I was told and whatever. It was like, fine. So, and then I had like a little bit of spotting, and it's weird because I didn't panic. I like Googled it, as you do. And it was like, oh yeah, sometimes you can get spotting. It's not a big deal as long as you don't have cramping at the same time. And I didn't have any cramping. And I was like, okay, I'm fine. So I mentioned this at my appointment, which was at 11 weeks in this 2-hour meeting. And she said, oh, okay, well, your first ultrasound isn't until 14 weeks, but because you've had spotting, let's just move that a little sooner and let's do it next week. And I was like, awesome, that's great. And, I went to the scan and I found out that we'd lost the baby. And I was so surprised. I was dumbfounded. Like I was not, I just couldn't, I kind of couldn't believe it. It was so bizarre and surreal. And of course, any loss is going to be exactly that. It's a loss. And there's like levels in a process that happens. But I think overall, I was able to move through my grief of it kind of okay, because I told myself that it's just a numbers game. I'm like 1 in 4 pregnancies end in miscarriage. If this one ended in miscarriage, that means the next one is going to be, I'm like golden, right? I'm good. I'm not going to have another miscarriage. That's what I was thinking. And oh yeah, this was super bizarre. So it's actually awful. So have you had anyone talk to you about what it's like when you find out, like what is the procedure when they do an ultrasound and let you know that your baby is not alive anymore? Have you had anyone talk about that in your show?
Yes and no, but just, yeah, whatever you want to tell us.
It's really, it's really weird. So they basically do the over the belly thing that, when they do an ultrasound. And if they can't see the baby very clearly, or it's looking like it might have been lost, they then do an intravaginal ultrasound. So she was like, okay, I'm not really seeing what I need to see, right? So already my anxiety goes, it spikes. And then they do an intravaginal ultrasound, which is I find it invasive. It's like a dildo going inside you. And I don't find it very comfortable. And then they're like pushing it around inside you. And while it's in you, they tell you your baby's dead. Like, will you please take that out of my vagina when you tell me that news? I don't know. I just find it so not right.
Okay, I feel like that has not come up ever in these conversations. Like the conversation happens after. That is really bad timing on that doctor's
really
part.
Bad timing, right? I was like, can you please take that out of me and like give me a minute? Come on. So yes, it was really super bizarre. And Another thing that was hard about it actually is we were waiting to tell my partner's son, I think he was 7 at the time. And we were like so excited to tell him he was going to be a big brother. And I was the one that said, I want to wait till we get the first scan. And so they were both at home. And my husband was like waiting for me to walk in the door and like tell the news to what will be the older brother. And I had to call from outside the flat and be like, I can't come in. I'm like not okay to come in. I need to tell you what actually happened at the scan. Oh my gosh. So yeah, I then had to like, we didn't share this news with Bado's son. It was not appropriate at the time, and it was like too much. So we just kind of had to get through the rest of the evening pretending that everything was normal and like not have a moment to talk about it really. So that was tough. But again, I felt like I bounced back pretty quickly, and I was like, it's okay, we're going to get pregnant again, no problem. So it took a little bit longer the second time. It took, I think, almost like 8 months to get pregnant, maybe even 9 months to get pregnant the second time. And so after the first couple of months, I said, do you know what? I'm just going to do a little bit of due diligence, and I'm going to go on some like more, like I increased my supplements, and I went to an acupuncturist, and I told her, you know, I had one loss, and I just want to make sure that my body's in a really good position before getting pregnant a second time. And she was like, cool. And she asked me how long my periods were, and they were inconsistent. They sat between 32 and 36 days. So it was inconsistent, but they tended to be long. And she was like, okay, well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make your periods consistent. She was like, I'd like them to be 28 or 29 days. And I was like, you can do that with acupuncture? And she was like, oh yeah, absolutely. And I want to clarify this, actually, I think it's an important point, is she's not an acupuncturist. She's a TCM, so a traditional Chinese medical doctor. And they go through a hell of a lot more training than just acupuncturists. She is Chinese, and she's been studying and practicing for 30 years or something. She's amazing. So I went to her for a few months. I really hated acupuncture. I found it super uncomfortable. I feel like I'm being electrocuted. It's like, like when the needles go in, I don't know. It's not even like the feeling of the needle. Like I have lots of tattoos. It's not that. It's like electricity. I feel like maybe I'm just really sensitive to it. So it was acupuncture, and she gave me this Chinese tea I needed to drink every day, which was one of the most foul things I've ever drank in my life. It's so bitter. And so I drank this tea and went to acupuncture every few weeks, and she got my periods to be 29 days exactly, and it's been that way since. I was like, how did you do that? That was amazing. So anyway, but then I quit going to her because I just really hated acupuncture and I hated the tea. So I stopped going to her. Then enter pregnancy number 2. So pregnancy number 2, I was like, this is awesome. It's going to be like, it was perfect. It was actually, we conceived at our wedding in Maine. And it was like, it was just this, it was perfect. Everything was perfect. Everything was just right. Synchronicity was there. Like it was just perfect. And I thought, this is it. This is wonderful. And I had a lot of intuition about it as well. I said to my husband, we flew to the States, and we had like a backyard wedding for us there, because it was still like right tail end of COVID. We couldn't have like real gatherings. We had like 20 people in a back garden in my friend's house in Maine for like a ceremony. And before we flew over, I said, like in my head, I had this like intuition. I said, I'm going to go over as 1 and come back as 2. Like I just knew. And it was true. I came back and I was pregnant when we flew over. And everything was awesome. And I noticed I had very similar symptoms to what I had in my first pregnancy. And so I started to recognize it. So one of my pregnancy symptoms is insomnia. which is really weird. But it's a very specific kind of insomnia, which is I would wake up bolt awake in the middle of the night, like sat straight up because I felt like someone was trying to tell me something. Like it was like it wasn't like just tossing and turning. It was like I was very alert in the middle of the night. I was like, that's weird. Okay, let me try to go back to sleep. So because I'd been pregnant before, I was like, oh yeah, this thing is happening again. So that was really interesting. And I was walking down the street and I saw this mom, this really beautiful mom with a big baby bump and holding the hand of a little boy who was probably about 2 years old. And I had this weird pang of jealousy. And I was like, why am I jealous? I'm pregnant. And like a few days later, I started bleeding. And I was like, oh no, like not a second one. And it felt so unfair because I was like, I paid my dues. I had paid my statistical dues. I want my baby now. And it was perfect. Everything was perfect timing. And so that one hit harder. I think actually with each of them, they got progressively harder. So number 2 happened, and that kind of launched my interest in figuring out what was going on. Because I'm like, okay, 1, fine. 2, something's amiss. So at that point, I started just doing a little bit of research, initially into Western medicine. And I didn't find a lot, but actually I found on a YouTube channel someone sharing her story of having multiple miscarriages. And with the NHS, the National Health Service in the UK, after your 3rd miscarriage, they give you progesterone tablets. So that's one of the ways that they found to treat miscarriage is their progesterone. It's like 400 milligrams of progesterone you insert into your vagina twice a day. And it just helps your body have that hormone balance it needs to support that first phase where the egg is implanting into the uterine lining. So it just helps make the uterine lining a little bit thicker and everything go well. And so I saw a bunch of research that this is the way that it's treated. And I was like, that's awesome. But you can't get a prescription for it unless you've had 3 miscarriages. And I'd only had 2. So I was like, knew this information. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, this is, at least I know what I can do, if I know what the roadmap is. So I got pregnant a 3rd time. And I was like, I need progesterone. And I couldn't get the doctor to prescribe it to me. And I couldn't find out where to get it. So I got some off the internet of just like a lot of menopausal women do progesterone cream on their forearms every day. And that helps balance when you're going through menopause. So I just like self-researched and found this. And then, and I was like, I don't even know if this is the right dose. Like, I don't know if this is what I need, but I know that this is what Western medicine would give me. And I was taking a lot more just like high quality prenatal vitamins. And I really upped my vitamin D because I found out that vitamin D can be a reason for miscarriage. I don't know. I was just like researching and reading blogs and reading different things to find anything I could. And this one was really tough. Again, we lost this one, but with this one, it was it became really medically complex. So the first 2, I passed naturally. So when you are there at the ultrasound, so going back to the ultrasound room, they like tell you your baby's dead while this thing is in your vagina. And then you sit down in a chair and they say, okay, so you've lost your baby. We're so sorry. And you have a few options. You can pass the tissue naturally. You can get a DNC, which is, I can never get it right, dilation and curettage. It's basically where it's an abortion. They scrape out your cervix manually. They have a vacuum, which is kind of like the more new school kind of abortion. And then the fourth option is a medical assist. And they basically give you tablets that you insert in your vagina. You're at the hospital when you do this. They don't let you do it at home because it's really full on. And your cervix dilates and you pass out the tissue. So it takes about 8 to 12 hours. And it's just like a really hardcore miscarriage that is brought on with medical assist pills. So they give you all these options and you're sat there and you're like, I don't want options because I haven't even like
Digested
what you just told me. Do you know? It's like, so the timing of it is so weird. So with the first two, I let them pass naturally.
And the second one, how many weeks? The second one?
The second one was, so the first one I was 11, 12 weeks. The second one I was only 7 weeks. So it was shorter. But the first one, what was interesting is it took 5 weeks for the tissue to pass after I knew that the baby wasn't there. It was so weird. The act of the miscarriage, which I did at home, it's pretty painful. But and the second one was the same. It was at home. But the third one, again, I was like, something's wrong. I know something's wrong. And I went in for an early scan. And wait, I'm trying to remember all the details. Sorry, there's so many details. Oh, that's right. So I told you one symptom I had, which was the dreaming. So again, with the third pregnancy, I knew I was pregnant with my third pregnancy before I got a positive pregnancy test because of the insomnia. Like I was like, I'm definitely pregnant. Like I'm 100% pregnant. And then the other strong symptom I get is really sore breasts. And my dreaming is like really, my dream state is really full when I'm pregnant as well. Like I have dreamt about all of my babies, like a lot. I dreamt about them a lot. And with the third one, I dreamt that I lost her. And I woke up and my left breast wasn't sore anymore. So I got out of bed and I just started weeping. And my partner was like, are you okay? And I said, I know we lost this one. And he said, how do you know? And I said, because I wasn't bleeding or anything. And I was still having positive pregnancy tests. And I said, I dreamt it. I just know. And so I went in for a scan and they said, yep, you've lost this one. And I was like, oh. And this one, like I said, got a little bit medically complicated. So they sent me home and I was going to do it the same way, which was just naturally at home. But I started getting like really tender, like very, very, very tender. Like I couldn't even wear it like underwear because it would push on the front of my belly. I was like, I couldn't touch my belly. It was so tender. And I was getting dizzy and I was having fevers and like cold sweats. And I said to my husband, I said, I think something's very wrong. Like something is not right with me. And it was a feeling, like an ominous feeling. Like something was very not okay. So we called the emergency medical line and they said, go to the hospital right now. You might have sepsis. So we went to the hospital and they basically they said, we need to do an emergency DNC on you because the tissue has become infected and it could be very dangerous for you. So I had an emergency DNC. Now, has anyone talked about a DNC before? Have you had like the details? Okay, so you know about that.
Even if it's been talked about, if you want to tell us your experience, it's unique, you know?
So it's really, I I didn't know much about it myself going in, but basically they give you, again, pills that are inserted into your vagina that make it so that your cervix opens. And because I was in the hospital in the emergency department, the way that that particular hospital works in Glasgow is there's only one surgery room for the like the ER unit, and you don't know, like they said, come in at 9 o'clock in the morning, and we don't know when you're going to get in. It's just going to be when there's an empty spot in the surgery room. And so I was like, okay. And then it was only a couple of hours after I was there, they said, okay, we're going to be able to get you in really soon. We're giving you the pessaries, which will open your cervix. And I was like, okay, great. And so it's really intense. I would imagine it's like getting Pitocin. So you basically, your body just goes into a surge and it just stays surging. There's no break. It's just like one great big contraction for hours. And so.
And are you given any painkillers?
Yes. So thank goodness, but they were late getting them to me. So what they did is they gave me the pessaries, and then you're in like a gurney and you're going to be like wheeled into the surgery room. And they took me down, and I was next. I was about to go in. And then there was, I don't know what it was. It must have been a car accident or something. Someone came into the emergency room screaming. There was like a major accident just before I was about to be wheeled in. And so everyone was dealing with that person. And so they got the slot before me. Meanwhile, I'm still dilating. I dilated to 10 centimeters. I dilated fully while waiting for my slot. And I was writhing on the bed because it's, like I said, it's not a break. It's not like a contraction 1 minute on, 1 minute off. It's just one long contraction. So they gave me intravenous morphine because I was like not coping. So anyway, the morphine helped. And then I went under general anesthesia, and they brought me in and they did the surgery. And thank goodness it all went really well. They said it was really easy. You were so dilated. It was like, scooping it out, all fine.
Sarah, I'm gonna just interject really quick. So like all of this is so terrible. Just like the emotional part of it, and then your expectations, and then your anxiety. I can imagine anybody's anxiety. And then you have to go through this physical pain, and there's no payoff.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. This is terrible. I mean, what was happening in your heart and your soul and your mind, after the hospital for the third one?
The third one, again, it's like I said previously, each one got progressively harder. I think after the third, I really hit a rock bottom emotionally, because that was the first one I had to confront the idea that I might never become a mother. Whereas previously I wasn't willing to even have that conversation. And my heart ached so much. It was such a deep loss. That third one was, again, we had my partner's son living with us, and he didn't know any of this that was going on. We were just like and we homeschool him. So he's with us like all day. So I would go through the whole day homeschooling, engaging, also working for the company. And then after kitty bedtime, I would just get in the bathtub and just like sob. I would just cry. It was my only time and space to do so. There was like, my grieving hours were from like 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. every day. And then I go to bed and do it all again the next day. So that was the hardest. And And at the same time, I didn't want to stop trying, but I was like, I can't survive a fourth. Like if I have a fourth miscarriage, it'll kill me. Like I have nothing left. I felt like I had nothing left at that point. So I gave it a little bit of time and space. My partner was amazing. He is incredible. Um, he was really, I think it's hard because I'm usually quite a buoyant person. And he, was by my side in some pretty dark days. So I did what, we do in modern society, which is research. I was like, I have to figure out what is this? Why? Like, I am such a healthy person. I'm one of the healthiest people I know. Like, I have just a really awesome lifestyle and I take care of my body very well. So it's just a mystery to me. And there was nothing, and that's what they call it. They call it unexplained infertility. There was just no reason. So like I said, with the NHS, the National Health Service, after your third loss, you have to have three before they give you any care. So I was fast tracked to the multiple miscarriage department. And but I knew that the National Health Service has swings and roundabouts. It has pros and cons. And I just knew that it was going to take a while for them to give me some answers. So I went on my own privately and I just did any investigative work that I could possibly do. So I got tons of blood work done, all kinds of levels of everything that would ever affect fertility. I got my thyroid function checked. I got all my hormone levels checked. I went and saw a nutritionist privately. I saw a naturopathic doctor privately. I went to, so this was all sort of like still within the realm of Western medicine, but slightly more, well, private and maybe slightly more along the lines of like naturopathic doctors. But then I also went the woo-woo route. I was like, I'm just going everywhere. Like, I'll just go anywhere. So I went to a kinesiologist. I don't know if you know of kinesiologists. They're the ones that do muscle testing. And so she did loads of muscle testing for me to advise on everything, like things I should remove from my home, like no chemicals in my house, no chemicals on my body, no chemicals in my makeup. I should, like, there are certain foods that I shouldn't eat, certain foods that I should eat. Like, she muscle tested me on like pages and pages of fruits and vegetables and whatever. And I had like all kinds of sheets of paper on my refrigerator of things that I should eat, things I shouldn't eat. Like, she even told me to take out my nose ring because it ran through the meridian line that runs in line with my womb. So I really didn't want to, but I took out my nose ring. And then I was like, oh no, I just look boring. I look like a 40-year-old boring person. So I was like, just like feeling really like deflated, like so deflated. So I had hair down past my waist and I cut it all off and gave myself a mohawk. It was like a total like, classic emotional haircut. I was like, I just can't look like a boring 40-year-old woman trying to get pregnant. Like, there's nothing more depressing. So, so yeah, I just kind of had like a sort of journey into research. I read loads of books and blogs. And I felt so empty at this time. Like, I don't know. I guess the way to describe it is like being in some kind of purgatory, or psychologists would call it being in liminal space. And it's this idea that when you have that feeling of becoming a mother, and when you take those first steps, there's letting go of the maiden. So there's letting go of that, like, I call it like my teenager voice. Like, I can hear her inside me. Like that voice went away. So in a way, the maiden died in me, with especially my third pregnancy, but I never became the mother. So I just felt like nothing. I was just nobody. So that was, yeah, it was a tough time. And so then, I did everything I could. I got all my results back from my personal investigations. Everything was 100% perfectly normal and healthy, just as my husband said it would be. He said, "You're really healthy, Sarah." And there was nothing wrong. And I got to see the fertility specialist through the NHS. I finally got my appointment to go face to face and talk with a doctor at the NHS in the multiple miscarriage unit. And we went in, and they said, "Sarah, we're so glad we're able to see you." It was two doctors. They were super sweet. And they literally said, "So have you had a look at the NHS website?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like, lots of times to like look for information. And she said, "So you'll be aware that with people such as yourself with unexplained infertility, there's actually nothing we can do. So this appointment is just for us to tell you, just keep trying."
What?
That's what they said. That was the fast track appointment that I've been waiting for like, at this point, 6 months.
Oh my God. So by this point, having seen these sweet doctors who had zero to say, how long had you been in this process by now? Like, I'm trying to figure out the timeline.
I think I was about 3 years in at this point.
Right. And then also you're getting older, and that doesn't feel great for us women who are already being told we're geriatric by the time we're 35.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Actually, it was at the third one. And so I was it was right before my birthday. I was still 40 when I had my third. And I'm in the hospital about to have my D&C. And I'm talking to some of the nurses and doctors some of them were actually amazing. That's the thing. It's real hit and miss. And one of them said, I said, I know that I'm going to get fast tracked to this appointment after, because this is my third one now. And do you know how quickly that takes? And she said, it can take a couple of months, and you should probably try not to get pregnant until you have that appointment, because they're going to check your hormone levels. And so you kind of want your hormones to be balanced, and you kind of want everything to like settle and not be trying to get pregnant right away, because
But did they do a blood test when you got there?
No.
And then, because of course, as a person who knows nothing about any of this, my thoughts are, okay, is it your uterus? Is it one of these things that, is there a surrogacy option? Like, what, like, those are the things that come to mind. Obviously you can get pregnant.
Right. Exactly. That's it. I'm like, I can get pregnant. So what is it that's stopping these babies from coming? What is it? Like, it should be simple. Like, people should know this.
And maybe some do, but not the ones that you went to. So like after this very disappointing meeting that you were waiting for, I mean, I'm on the edge of my seat. What next? What happens?
Oh, so yeah, so she said you should wait to try to conceive. And I said, do you know how that sounds to someone pushing 40? Just having had a third miscarriage, try not to get pregnant for a few months. What, like, how does that even make sense? Anyway, so after miscarriage number 3, again, I'm in my like rough phase. And I spoke to a friend of mine who's also had a few miscarriages. And I said, I don't know if I can survive a 4th one. I really don't know if I can do it. And she said, Sarah, yes, you can. And I was like, oh my God, like, just thinking about the possibility of a 4th just made me nauseous. I just couldn't even fathom. But I thought, do you know what? Let's just see what we can. So all my tests came back. The NHS also said, we'll give you, because you've had 3, we'll give you progesterone. So
you felt like if you tried again, there would be something different happening.
Yes. So
that
this
might
would be
help.
the first time that I was offered progesterone, that it was available to me. And I'd heard lots and lots of cases that was the thing that was the turnaround for many, many, many women. Like, that's what, and like, again, like, and this is like scrolling YouTube, like trying to find stories from women, because I just wasn't getting as many. And there are statistics, like I saw some like medical statistics as well, saying that progesterone helps with multiple miscarriages. So I was like, okay. So that was sort of the Western medicine carrot for me to be willing to try a 4th time.
All right, my friends, part 2 is in your feed waiting for you. I'm not going to do a regular outro for this.
Cleaned up for my mom.
Yes, she cleaned up, but I'm assuming you guys are just going to jump right back into the next episode.
She was following me.
Yes. Okay. Bean.
Like a bear.
Give me
like a huge polar.
Give me a second. All right, my friends. I'm not even doing a regular outro. We'll see you on part 2 of this. All right, my friends. This is Expected.